Hello, my name is Bonnie Kolakowski. I'm an instructor at Rio Salado Community College. I am recording this video to go over your Lesson 1 assignments. In Lesson 1, you read chapters 1 and 2, and you learned about the objectives of the general and nonprofit accounting, as well as authoritative services, such as FASB and GASB. In addition, you learned in Chapter 2 about fund accounting, definition of a fund, fund categories such as proprietary funds, governmental funds, and fiduciary funds. You also learned about the accounting equation and how to set up budgets based upon these types of funds. In this video, I'm going to show you a sample problem that is similar to the problem you need to turn in for your Week 1 assignment. As you can see here, this problem is out of your book, P-P1, and the requirement of this assignment is to prepare a worksheet to derive a GAAP basis, including accruals, statement of revenues, and expenditures for Hatcher Township General Fund for the 2019 fiscal year. So your first step to create this statement in Excel is to begin with your title, General Fund, Hatcher Township, and the statement name and the date. The next step is to enter in the accounts that you saw on the screen. From there, you're going to go ahead and add in your budgetary cash basis column. Oops, everything's on caps. So you're going to go ahead and enter the exact amounts, the actual, right here. So taxes, $595,000, $206,000. For licenses, $110,000. Oops. And then for your others, $45,000. We will go ahead and subtotal these amounts. And I will format the numbers so they look a little better. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video for a minute to type in the rest of these numbers to speed up our session. After I have entered all the numbers in the revenues and expenditures, your next step is to add the accrual amounts. So yes, you will enter in the beginning and ending accruals. So looking at our first one, there's nothing in the beginning. You have your ending of 6,000. You can see right here, there's nothing in this column for licenses. Oops, sorry, the formatting's a little funky. We'll clean up formatting later. Then the next amounts you can see is 9,000 and 1,000. Oops, I don't know why I did that, sorry. So you're probably asking why I put minus signs here is because we're reversing the prior year accrual, and then we're making the accrual for year end. I'm going to pause the video to fill in the rest of the numbers so we can move forward with this assignment. Now that we have entered in our accruals, we are going to go ahead and add our column for our GAAP basis. And that is totaling up your, adding or subtracting your accruals against your budgetary cash basis. Whoops, that formula did not come out correctly. 30,000. This is incorrect. There we go. Okay. The next part of this problem, we're going to have to calculate the excess of revenues over or under expenditures. So that is going to be taking the revenue minus the expenses. Hopefully I can copy this formula over. And voila, there's our answer. And this is for the first part of the problem. The next part of the problem says, could the readers of the budgetary basis and GAAP basis statements get different impressions of 2019 operating results of Hatcher Township General Fund, and explain? So basically, to answer this question, you have to look at these two numbers. I'm not going to give you the answer because this is what you're going to need to figure out when you complete the assignment on your own. But think about the large difference between the budgetary cash basis and the GAAP basis. So the second problem in this assignment is similar to problem 2-1 in chapter 2. You will need to create on another tab on your Excel spreadsheet the same exact format. I made it easier and I put a legend at the bottom so I wouldn't forget what these letters stand for. So you could see that we have on one side our governmental funds, on the other side we have our general capital assets and general long-term liability accounts. And then if you can see the legend here, FA is financial assets, RL is related liabilities, FB is fund balance, GCA is general capital assets, GF general fund, and so forth. So the first problem here says, and we're just going to go ahead and ignore the example that they have here listed. Number 1, salaries and wages for firefighters and police officers incurred but not paid. So in regular accounting, you know that that is basically an accrual that the firefighters worked, but we haven't paid them yet. So the first step here, and I'm just going to go ahead and number these. So this is transaction number 1 right here. And it asks you the fund. Well, obviously the firefighters are in the general fund. And the next part has to do with the $75,000. Well, the $75,000 is a related liability because it has not been paid to the firefighters. And the next part is the fund balance. Now, if you're unsure of how to record these transactions, when you go back to the chapter, you'll see that there's a section that talks about these different accounts. Sorry, I wanted to pull up to the chapter where you can see where it talks about related liabilities refers primarily to general governmental liabilities that are related to the current year and are not normally paid from available expendable financial assets. And then the fund balance refers to the residual balance of the fund, the difference between its financial assets plus deferred outflows of resources and its related liabilities, deferred inflow of resources. And then you can see it talks more about operating capital and debt service. In addition, the chapter goes on to detail analysis of transactions like we're working on in a similar format. So moving back to the problem, number 2 says the city borrowed $9 million to finance construction of a new city executive office building by issuing bonds at par. So in that area where I showed you in the chapter, you learned that borrowing $9 million is a capital projects fund. So number 2, CPF, Capital Projects Fund. So that $9 million is going to be an asset. And that's going to increase our fund balance. And what else do you think that does? We are also going to have on the capital assets and long-term liabilities side a liability of $9 million. And if you remember, NP stands for net position. I'm not going to walk through all these transactions, but if you have any questions, please reach out to your instructor. Have a wonderful day.